Hi, Matthew, and thank you so much for taking your time out today of your busy schedule, especially because it's a long weekend in Australia, and I'm sure you've got fun stuff to do today. But thank you for taking time out to do this interview with me. And as you know, Be Who You Want to Be International is the company that I run, and the goal that I have through my company is to build a network of resources to help empower kids to be all that they can be in life. So what I'd love to do with you in this interview is really just talk about your story and your background, and ask you to share some of the ways in which you apply your skills and expertise to assist young kids in the areas of leadership and self-empowerment. And from the discussions that we've had, or the discussion at least that we've had in the past, it seems that this is quite a strong focus of yours, whether it is to do with kids alone or some of the other clients you work with. So I'd love to ask you a whole bunch of questions about that. So thank you for joining me.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Okay, so before we get into the fine detail, the nitty-gritty of, I guess, what you do, can you tell us about your background and how you came together with your brother Luke and developed the Papallo brothers?
Yeah, of course. Well, to give you the crash version of that, I guess it all started when I was 8 years old, and I was being bullied right through primary school, right through to high school. And at the ages of 8 and between 8 to, I guess, 12 years old, I started karate, and my mum suggested that I actually started that because of the whole bullying dynamic and not knowing how to handle that properly. My parents basically threw me into a self-defense and said, let's hope the best and let's hope this actually works out for you. So I started karate when I was 8 years old, and I did that for 4 years. And through that whole course, the bullying didn't really stop. I didn't really get any opportunities to defend myself. But when it came to high school, I actually changed my martial art and went to another one called Jiu-Jitsu. And I remember a specific time when I was actually being confronted by three big New Zealander Tonga guys. And they crowded around me, and they were actually just pushing me from behind and really, really frustrating me inside. And at that moment, I just snapped. And I guess you can say muscle memory took over. And I actually, I guess you can say it was fair that I put all these guys on the floor, and people around me were quite amazed that a guy of my height and weight put all these massive guys on the ground. And after that day, I got a whole new respect from all my classmates and the rest of the school. And ironically enough, during that week, I got asked to teach martial arts just part-time. And so from then on, I was teaching martial arts while I was in high school part-time until I turned about 16, where I was asked to teach full-time, as much as I can through high school. And once that happened, I turned 18, finished high school, and then I began a career in martial arts, instructing 6 days a week, which is what I do now. Once I turned roughly 19 years old, my brother Luke introduced me to the Demartini Method, and he and I went to our first breakthrough, and I learned all the principles that I could in that session. And slowly over time, I figured out that John's principles and what he teaches at breakthrough apply a lot in the martial arts. And as I started developing them and actually started using them in my own life, I realized that they would have a massive effect on children and in the bullying dynamic. So through the teachings that I do, I actually incorporate my own martial arts principles along with John's principles of human behavior. And I actually find that I get maximum results out of the kids when I subtly introduce the bullying dynamic and how kids can approach it in a different way. And funny enough, the kids that I do this mostly with are between the ages of 5 to 9-year-olds, which is when I started getting bullied.
Mm-hmm.
When I figured, look, this is what I want to be doing, I kind of had a vision of what I wanted, but I needed some help with that. So I approached my brother Luke, who was a professional golfer and had the same or similar background in the mental sporting area. So I approached and said, look, let's this together, and let's actually kind of unite and bring this to the world in the best way we can. And he said, yeah, that's a great idea, let's do that. And so we wanted to keep it kind of traditional in a certain way. So we call ourselves Papallo brothers, which to us is a uniting kind of force in that way, an unbreakable bond between brothers. And we came up with the quote, "Serving to inspire, inspire to serve," and that's what we actually stick to, and that's a quote that we live by. So Luke and I started Papallo Brothers in May last year, and it's got a bright future ahead. And I see the vision unfolding each and every day that we work on it, and that's really where it began. So it's a story that I like to share, and it gets into a lot of depth. But that's.
Thank you for sharing that. So you've been through some interesting experiences in your life. One of them obviously is martial arts being quite a big feature of that, and you've had a lot of experience in that area. Can you share how martial arts played an influence in your life in terms of how it assisted you when you were growing up?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I was actually having a discussion with a couple of people, ironically enough, last night, and they were talking about how it would be fantastic if the government brought back sending people who just finished high school into the army for 1 year, just so they can get that discipline in them. And I thought, look, it's a great idea, but at the same time, it's very, very stupid from my perspective. I actually grew up learning martial arts, so the discipline I actually gained from that was a discipline that I actually grew up and I didn't see within my peers, and I actually found myself not associating with a lot of people from my own high school, and I didn't know why. And the things they were doing, the things that I was interested in, weren't exactly the same thing. So martial arts definitely was a major impact in the way of the discipline that I had within myself and what I saw others doing, and not in a judgmental type of way, but more of what is right and wrong for myself, what I feel is congruent with my life. So martial arts was definitely an impact in that way, and I would definitely say the focus that I have today and the inspiration that I get was actually taught to me, I guess you could say, from myself, from my journey through martial arts. So it forced me to actually look within, to actually be silent and quiet within myself and actually find my own answers. And along with John's work, the Demartini Method, it's a killer combo for when you're actually trying to know yourself and get present with yourself. So definitely the impact of focus and discipline have been a major thing in me in martial arts.
Wow, fantastic. Cool. So now you said that you work with young kids as well between age 5 to 9, particularly within the martial arts field. So my question is, when did you decide that you wanted to focus on working with kids in that demographic? I know that you work with other people as well, with other clients, but when did working with kids become an important factor in terms of what you do?
Well, it really, to be honest with you, it wasn't my decision. I didn't really internally make that decision myself. It just fell into my lap. I teach that age group, and I also teach older kids and adults as well. But that is the main group that I focus on, and I never really understood why. I just felt like I had a massive connection to those kids. Whenever that class actually walks in, I just think, wow, I'm actually really inspired to teach them how to defend themselves. And whenever I tell my story, share my story, I just get a little piece every now and then of why I'm doing what I'm doing. I just think, you know what, that it makes so much sense to me, and it really just inspires me. So that demographic, that age group, like I said, I've actually been instructed to actually show them how to defend themselves more and more. I'm I guess you can say, the leader in that area because I show the most inspiration in that area, and no one else knows why. They say, look, why are you so they say motivated, why are you so active in this class? We just see you as a different person. And I always say, look, I really don't know, I just love teaching these kids. It's great. Get me in another class and it's not really the same.
Right.
That age group it just brings something out of me. And I guess it does come back to the void of when I was young, I didn't have a mentor or a teacher to be that big, I guess, drive in my life to show me how to defend myself. Right. So that's where it comes from.
Cool. Well, I can definitely resonate with that in terms of my company. I certainly originally never had a vision to work with kids, although I always had a connection to kids throughout my career. So I can I can definitely resonate how it kind of just fell into my lap as well, and the vision to work with that demographic just manifested in a similar way to what you went through, going through challenges and bullying and whatever else that I went through when I was around that age demographic. So it's pretty inspiring to see that you're really helping a younger group of kids, which is, in my opinion, a really great foundation to give them, and also a wonderful place to start. So I commend you, and definitely thank you for doing that work in that area.
Thank you.
So my next question is, what I'd like to know, so you work with these kids, young, middle-aged kids, or like middle school kids, I guess, and then up into high school and so forth. So what I'd like to know is, in which ways do you help these kids empower themselves and develop that inner leader so they can really, I guess, own who they are?
There are various ways that I actually approach this. There are specific classes that I actually get, and it doesn't really matter what age they are. I actually get them up in front of the whole entire class, and this could be from anywhere between 30 to 70 kids in one class. And I get them up and say, individually, and say, okay, put your hands by your side, stand up straight. Now tell the class a story, or tell the class about your day, or tell us something about what you're interested in, or your favorite fruit, or your favorite color. And some of the kids stand there and they're very, very shy, and then I build a bit of rapport with them. You know, I laugh with them, I make the other kids laugh with them, and it brings out their inner leader, and then they start talking about something that they're interested in. So I don't necessarily say to them, talk to me about this topic, or about what the kids want to hear. It's, tell me a story that you want to share, tell me a story that you want to talk about. And some kids actually just start, they just talk, and I've got to stop them and go, hey, go sit down now, thanks. So I get a handful of kids that come with a large range of variety that just are either very shy or very, very open. So that is one approach that I do. I just get them straight out there and say, look at the class, which can be, like I said, up to 70 kids at a time, and just talk, share something with them. And that is one approach I take. The other approach is I get kids individually again to actually instruct other kids. So just 2 kids at a time, or 4 kids, just a little group. And I say, look, this is a technique that you're very good at, and I can see that you're doing really well with. So I'd like you to go over there and show these other kids how to do it, because they're not too well with it. And the kid really feels inspired. They're like, wow, you think I'm great at this technique. Thank you. I'm going to go and try and help these other children. And so that's a bit of a subtle way that I get across them. I praise them in a certain way, and I say, but you'll be very good if you can teach them even more, and teach those other kids. And they really understand, and it doesn't really matter what age. I've done this with kids that are 4-year-old, and they click, and they just understand, they think, yep, and they go and teach these other kids, some kids that are older than them. And I look at them and I think that's really beautiful. You've got a 4-year-old kid showing an 8-year-old kid martial arts. It's really quite funny.
It's amazing.
I take those 2 specific approaches, and I found that they basically get the most out of the kid. And I find when you throw them in the deep end, but with a little bit of assistance, it really brings out their leadership inside. Really does.
Cool. That's I definitely like your process, especially like really focusing on what's important to them and asking them to share that, for one, but also then putting them in a position to go and actually teach other kids or other peers. It's very much a part of what my business does, is put kids in a position where they can actually teach other kids about things that they actually have a lot of skill in, so that the other kids, or even adults, can actually learn from them, because I believe that that's possible. So it's quite amazing that you're doing that in your way. I think it's quite profound, and definitely the signs of someone who has a vision to really step outside the box and push kids in a different direction. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, thanks. It came with a lot of mistakes along the way, that's for sure. How to approach kids, how to talk to them, how to actually get them to that stage. And it just came with a lot of practice, I guess you can say. But doing it over and over, you just you get used to creating that instant rapport with the child, and getting into their frame of mind, and asking them to share something with the class. So yeah, it didn't come easily, I can tell you that.
I'm sure.